The polar bear is the undisputed king of the Arctic, a majestic and fearsome predator that has captured our imagination for centuries. But with the Arctic ecosystem under threat from climate change, the future of the polar bear is uncertain. The polar bear's habitat is one of the harshest environments on Earth. Temperatures can drop to minus 50 degrees Celsius, minus 58 Fahrenheit, and wind chill can make it feel even colder. Despite these extreme conditions, polar bears are perfectly adapted to the Arctic climate. Their thick fur and layer of blubber act as insulation, keeping them warm in the frigid temperatures. Polar bears are some of the largest land predators on Earth, with adult males weighing between 775 to 1,300 pounds, or 340 to 600 kilos, and measuring up to 10 feet, 3 meters in length. Females are usually a bit smaller, weighing between 330 to 650 pounds, or 150 to 350 kilos, and measuring up to 8 feet, 2.5 meters in length. They have large, padded paws that help them to walk on the slippery ice and snow. In their natural habitat, polar bears lead a solitary life, except during mating season and when a mother is raising her cubs. However, they may encounter other Arctic creatures such as walruses, beluga whales, and other seals. When hunting, polar bears will often attempt to ambush their prey by waiting near breathing holes in the sea ice, or they may stalk them on the ice. Polar bears are powerful swimmers and have been known to swim for miles in search of food or to find sea ice. They can swim at an average of 6 miles per hour, but can reach speeds of up to 10 miles per hour, 10 to 15 kilometers an hour, when hunting prey. In the water, their large paws act as paddles, and their streamlined body shape makes them excellent swimmers. When it comes to reproduction, female polar bears typically mate every 2 to 3 years, and pregnancy lasts approximately 8 months. Cubs are born in a den that the mother has dug into the snow, and they are born blind, hairless, and weigh less than a pound, 0.5 kilos. They are completely dependent on their mother's milk for the first few months in their life. Once they are weaned, the mother will teach them how to hunt and survive in the Arctic. Cubs stay with their mother for just about 2 years before striking out on their own. Polar bears are also known for their playful behavior, especially among cubs. Cubs will play and interact with each other, learning important social and physical skills that will help them to survive in their environment. Play behavior can include rolling and tumbling in the snow, wrestling with each other, and sliding down icy slopes. Despite being apex predators, polar bears are not immune to threats. Climate change is the biggest threat to their survival, as melting sea ice is reducing their hunting grounds and making it harder for them to find food. Polar bears have been observed spending more time on land, which is resulting in more conflict with humans. Additionally, pollution, hunting, and other human activities can also impact polar bear populations. Conservation efforts to protect polar bears and their habitat are ongoing. Protected areas have been established in the Arctic, where hunting and other human activities are strictly regulated. Additionally, efforts are underway to reduce the emission of greenhouse gas and reduce the effect of climate change. Polar bears are fascinating creatures that have adapted to one of the most cruel environments on Earth. Their unique physical characteristics, hunting techniques, and playful behavior make them a symbol of the Arctic. However, climate change and human activities pose significant threats to their survival. It is vital that we continue to learn more about these incredible creatures and take steps to protect them and their habitat for future generations. Polar bears have a unique reproductive system and life cycle that is closely linked to the Arctic environment. Females reach sexual maturity at around 4 to 5 years of age, while males mature slightly later at around 6 to 7 years. Breeding occurs between April and May, when males actively seek out females. Once a female is impregnated, the fertilized egg will stay in a state of suspended animation until August or September, when it will implant in the female's uterus and start to develop. During the pregnancy, the female will begin to eat more and store up fat reserves, which will be essential for her to sustain herself and her cubs during the denning period. Denning typically occurs between October and November, and females will dig a den into the snow or find a suitable location, such as a cave or rocky crevice, to give birth. The female will give birth to 1 to 3 cubs, which are born blind, toothless, and helpless, weighing only about 1 to 1.5 kilograms, 2 to 3 pounds. The cubs will feed on their mother's rich milk, which contains up to 31% fat and will remain in the den for approximately 3 months. After this period, the cubs will begin to venture outside the den and learn from their mother how to survive in the Arctic. The mother will teach the cubs how to hunt, how to navigate the icy terrain, and how to interact with other polar bears. The cubs stay protected and cared for by their mother for up to 2 years, during which time they will gradually gain independence and learn to fend for themselves. Males do not participate in the rearing of the cubs, and once the cubs are mature enough, the mother will leave them to fend for themselves. The females will typically mate every 2 to 3 years, and the survival rate of cubs is relatively low, with only about 50% of cubs surviving to adulthood. Overall, the reproductive habits and life cycle of polar bears are essential for their survival in the Arctic environment. The denning period allows the females to protect their cubs from the harsh conditions outside, while the close bond between mother and cubs ensures the cubs learn essential survival skills to thrive in the Arctic. But while these creatures may be wild, they don't have it easy, especially with the heightening global warming and climate change conditions. Climate change poses the greatest threat yet to the survival of polar bears and their habitat. The Arctic is currently warming at twice the rate of the rest of the world, and this is causing the sea ice to melt at an alarming rate. Polar bears depend on the sea ice to hunt and travel, and without it, they are unable to access their primary food source, seals. As a result, polar bears are forced to travel further and further in search of food, often with little success, which can lead to starvation and malnutrition. Hunting is also a threat to polar bears, both legal and illegal. In some countries, hunting is strictly regulated, with quotas set to ensure that populations remain stable. However, in other areas, hunting is unregulated, and polar bear populations are at risk. The trade in polar bear parts, including skin and teeth, also poses a threat to polar bear populations, as it provides an incentive for poaching. Pollution is another threat to polar bears. Chemicals and toxins such as PCBs, DDT, and other persistent organic pollutants, POPs, can accumulate in the fat of polar bears, causing a range of health problems. These chemicals can also disrupt the polar bear's reproductive system, leading to reproductive failure. In addition to these threats, other human activities can also impact polar bears, such as oil and gas exploration, shipping, and tourism. These activities can disrupt the polar bear's habitat, disturb their hunting, and cause stress, which can further threaten their survival. Overall, the threats to polar bears' survival are complex and interconnected, and they require a coordinated and sustained effort to address. It's important to take action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, regulate hunting and trade, and reduce pollution in the Arctic. By doing so, we can help ensure that polar bears continue to thrive in their unique and fragile habitat. Conservation efforts to protect polar bears and their habitat are ongoing. Protected areas have been established in the Arctic, where hunting and other human activities are strictly regulated. Additionally, efforts are underway to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to minimize the effects of climate change. The polar bear is an iconic symbol of the Arctic, and its survival is closely linked to the health of the Arctic ecosystem. As we've seen, polar bears face a range of threats, from climate change to hunting and pollution. However, there's hope for the future. Conservation efforts are underway to protect polar bears and their habitat, and we can all play a role in ensuring their survival. By reducing our carbon footprint and supporting conservation initiatives, we can help to protect the Arctic and the animals that call it home. So let's work together to ensure the king of the Arctic, the polar bear, continues to thrive for generations to come.